Welcome back, class 10. Continuing with your history class, chapter 6. Today, let me start off with the main features or terms of the Lucknow Pact, the Congress League Accord. Remember, the Lucknow Pact is also known as the Congress, League Accord. The main features of the Lucknow Act were as follows. What were the main features? Number 1, provincial legislature. 4/5 of the members of the provincial legislatures were to be elected and 1/5 nominated. So 4/5 of the members of the provincial legislature will be elected and 1/5 will be nominated. The number of Muslims was laid down province by province. How many Muslims will be nominated were laid down, were calculated province by province. On the whole, the proportion of Muslim members was large. For example, 50% in Punjab, 40% in Bengal, 30% in Uttar Pradesh. They were to be elected through separate electorates because they wanted that separate electorates for the Muslims should be there, and they are doing it accordingly. Imperial Legislative Council. The Imperial Legislative Council was to consist of 150 members. Of these, 4/5 were to be elected and 1/5 nominated. So, the Imperial Legislative Council will have 150 members. Out of those 150 members, 4/5 were to be elected and 1/5 nominated. Always remember 4/5, 1/5. 1/3 of the elected were to be Muslims. So out of the 4/5 who were elected, 4/5 who were elected, out of those 1/3, around about 50-60 members will be Muslims. Powers of the Imperial Legislature. What are the powers of the Imperial Legislature? Defense, foreign affairs, making of war, peace, treaty were excluded from the control of Imperial Legislature. What were that means defense, foreign affairs, war, peace, treaty, these are excluded, not included in the Imperial Legislature. Viceroy's Executive Council. Half of the members of the Viceroy's Executive Council should be Indians, elected by the elected members of the Imperial Legislative Council. Okay, understood. Now, the autonomous provinces. Provinces should be given a large measure of autonomy. Autonomy means freedom of operation on its own in the respective spheres. The imperial government, that means the central government, should not ordinarily interfere in the local affairs of the provinces. Safeguarding religious interests, that means the legislative council, imperial or provincial, shall not interfere with the religious practices of the people. Abolition of India Council. The Council of the Secretary of State for India operating from England should be abolished. Separation from judiciary from executive. Executive officers should have no judicial powers entrusted in them. Members of the judiciary in every province should be placed under the control of highest court of the province. So these are the main features or terms of the Lucknow Pact. Number 1, provincial legislature. Number 2, Imperial Legislative Council. Number 3, powers of the Imperial Legislature. Number 4, Viceroy's Executive Council. Number 5, autonomous provinces. Number 6, safeguarding of religious interests. Number 7, abolishment of Indian Council. And number 8, separation of judiciary from executive. Now, drawbacks of Lucknow Pact. What were the drawbacks? First, the pact kept alive the system of separate electorates. Through this pact, separate electorates what were thought of, we have learned before in the previous chapter that Muslims should have separate electorates. They kept that. The Congress, being a secular organization, should not have agreed to any scheme of separate electorates for Muslims. Number 2, the pact provided for Muslim representation in the councils far in excess of the proportion of the total population. The pact provided for Muslims representation in the council far excess of the total proportion. Whatever population, according to the population, the proportion should be there, but they exceeded that. Number 3, the pact introduced communal veto in legislation, because no legislature could proceed any bill if 3/4 of the member of the particular community opposed it. Communal veto. Veto vote means not agreeing with a certain, not giving vote on a certain matter. Communal veto, that means if a greater community is against a certain bill, that bill will not be passed. For the first time, communal veto is introduced in India. A bill will not pass because a greater section of a particular community is going against it. Over here we are talking about the Muslim League and the Muslims. The executive branch of the government, governors and the Governor General, were responsible to the Secretary of State for India operating from England. And finally, all the decisions were made at the top level of leadership. There was no involvement of Hindus and Muslim masses in the accord. Now, what was the impact or significance of the pact? First, it was an important step on the road of Hindu-Muslim unity. The Hindu-Muslim cooperation and unity continued throughout the year from 1914 to 1922. It had been said that the Congress has yielded too much to the Muslim League. Second, the unity of the Congress and the Muslim League and between the early nationalists and the assertive nationalists demoralized the government of India. Demoralized, dampening of the spirit, lowering down or lowering of the morale. Our leaders were convinced that the government would grant India a significant measure of self-control, government, only if there was a united political front. Obviously, if someone stands in a united way against the Britishers will have to listen to them. The government now had no excuse of delaying political and constitutional reforms. Number 3, the pact led the gradual development of self-governing institutions. Self-governing institutions. The World War was on. The World War was on, and our leaders had made it sufficiently clear that the British could not expect loyalty from Indians if their demands for political reforms were unheard. In the face of this overwhelming odds, the government announced on August 20, 1917 that their policy in India was the gradual development of self-governing institutions. So, as World War was going on and India was getting religiously united, so in 1917, the government agreed that we will allow slowly, baby steps, we will allow self-governing organizations to be formed in India. Now we'll see what is Home Rule Leagues. Home Rule Leagues. The First World War broke out in June 1914. The British and American statesmen said the war was being fought to make world safe for democracy. Anyway, during the early stages of the war, Indian leaders fully cooperated with the government. The Indian leaders cooperated with the government. As the war continued, the leaders grew impatient and began to agitate. They grew impatient. At that time, Mrs. Annie Besant joined Congress in 1914. She made efforts to unify the two wings of the government, which was Surat split. After Surat split, it was not united. Her efforts bore fruit. She was successful. Tilak joined the Lucknow session of the Congress in 1916. Annie Besant developed the scheme of Home Rule for India. She had derived the inspiration from the success of the Home Rule movement in Ireland. So she gave the idea of Home Rule, which she got inspiration from Ireland. In September 1916, a Home Rule League was formally inaugurated by Annie Besant in Madras, now Chennai obviously. Another Home Rule League was already been formed in Pune by Tilak in 1916. So Annie Besant in Madras and Tilak in Pune, both of them formed this Home Rule League. Annie Besant and Tilak had reached an agreement that Tilak's league would work from Maharashtra and the central provinces, whereas Besant is in the rest of the country. So Tilak's group will work in Maharashtra and central India, and the rest of the India, Annie Besant's league will lead. The aim and objective of the Home Rule League. The Home Rule really meant self-government. The country should have a government by councils elected by all the people. Okay. Mrs. Besant and Tilak used only constitutional methods to attain their objectives. Only constitutional methods, no agitations as such. They made extensive tours and criticized the government for neglecting industries and education in India. Efforts were made to bring back Swadeshi movement. Home Rule campaign alarmed government. Alarmed means the government became very afraid. The Punjab government prohibited Tilak's entry into the province. Later in 1917, the governor of Punjab issued orders to arrest Mrs. Besant along with her two colleagues, B.P. Wadia and G.S. Arundel. Protest meetings were held all over India. Besant became the idol of people. She became the idol of people. Bowing to the pressure of people, the government had to release her in September 1917. June she was arrested, September she was released. The Congress elected Besant for the president of the Kolkata session in 1917. What is the significance of the Home Rule? Home Rule campaign infused means gave, delivered new life in the national movement. Two significant features of the Home Rule movement were the participation of women. Very important. Women started participating. And revival of the Swadeshi spirit. The August Declaration. What does it mean? The Congress and the Muslim League had joined hands in presenting a common charter. Charter means a list of demands. The government therefore felt that it was absolutely necessary to pacify. Pacify means to calm down the Indians by a declaration of policy. So on 20th August 1917, the Secretary of State, Mr. Montague, made an important announcement in the House of Commons. House of Commons means the Lok Sabha in British Parliament. House of the Commons means the Lok Sabha of ours, and the House of the Lords means our Vidhan Sabha. Our Rajya Sabha. House of the Commons is equivalent to our Lok Sabha, and the House of the Lords is equivalent to our Rajya Sabha. What did he announce? He said that the policy of Her Majesty's government was that of a gradual development and self-governing institutions in India. What did he announce in Britain? He announced that Her Majesty, the Queen, has now decided that there will be a gradual development of self-governing institutions in India. This meant that the local bodies, municipalities and district bodies, etc., and the provincial legislatures would contain substantially elected majorities, and they would make decisions regarding the tax and financial matters also. Slowly, things have been introduced in India. Then comes the Government of India Act in 1990. The August Declaration was received with enthusiasm of the people. The Home Rule movement gradually came to an end. Obviously, there was no need. The Government of India Act 1919 made a beginning towards transferring some of the powers at provincial level. So, an act was done. Government of India Act. Through this act, slowly, powers have been transferred. But this should not be taken to the mean that the provinces became autonomous, free to operate. No. The Act of 1919 did not establish a federal system of government in the country. Moreover, the Act of 1990 had divided provincial subjects into two parts, transferred and reserved. Reserved subjects means topics, or subjects means areas of operations. Reserved subjects like law and order, police, land revenue, that the Britishers will govern, it is under the governor and his executive council. Transfer subjects means health, public health, local government. These are under the local control of the ministers, local ministers. That means main things like law and order, police, administration, land revenue. This was under the Britishers. So this new government came to be known as diarchy, means dual government. One from the center controlled and one thus locally controlled. Criticism of the Act. The reforms introduced by the Act in 1919 failed to satisfy Indians. Why? The system of diarchy broke down because illogical basis on which the division of subjects was made. Illogically the division was made. What is the example? Example is, agriculture was a transferred subject. Agriculture is transferred, that means locally it will be handled, but land revenue is not transferred. Land revenue and irrigation is reserved. That means land revenue, irrigation is looked after by the state Britishers and irrigation by the local. How is it possible? Illogical, right? A lot of confusion will be there. So, the Congress at its session in 1919 denounced the reforms as inadequate, unsatisfactory and disappointing. It, however, decided to carry them out in such a way as to secure an early establishment of responsible government. They although agreed that we will not ban the act for the time being because it is a baby step towards self-government of India, India's learning process. Just imagine the Britishers are teaching us how to govern ourselves. Ridiculous. But these things happened. What to do? Anyway, with this, we come to the end of chapter 6, National Movement during the First World War, Lucknow Pact and other developments. Okay. Hope you have understood. As I have said in the previous classes, go through the questions and answers, write down in an exercise copy and memorize them. You go through the chapters, go through my class, what I have taught, then solve the questions. Automatically, your revision will be done and your lesson will be also learned. Thank you for today.